Jessica, I know that like when you and I talk about caps, like I remember like us having a conversation about Oregon, where I'm from and where your members used to be at, and I talked about like BiMart exiting was a big deal because you could
Yeah.
buy like cheese puffs, ammunition, fishing
Yeah.
supplies, and also get your prescriptions and DVDs and CDs, cassette tapes as well. It was a real smorgasbord, but the people of Oregon and Idaho love
Yeah.
them some BiMart. And when
Sounds
they
sounds very hipster.
it is,
Yeah.
right? It's Oregon hipster. Like, it was a real issue around, like, getting needed prescription drugs, and that's something that you had nothing control of as a plan. Like, the fact that BiMart decided, like, "We don't wanna do drugs anymore,"
Yeah.
and I remember my parents calling me and being like, "We don't wanna go to Walgreens. We hate Walgreens. We really liked going to BiMart." And so, like, when you're thinking about caps, like, I know you heard, like, me and Nate, we have our own qualms, but, like, do you like it? Do you hate it? We won't judge you if you love it.
No, I don't love caps. I don't have a proposal for something better to replace it with. So in the
Me
interim,
neither.
we'll live with it. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
it becomes increasingly hard as we become remote workers, right? And health plans become
Mm.
remotely located. So we talk about all this going on in Oregon, and you're sitting there in Colorado, and I'm sitting here in Minnesota, and we're both responsible to some degree for what's going on or how do we know what's going on in
Yeah.
Oregon? I think as leaders in the experience space, you need to make effort to
Mhm.
like do boring things like routinely read the Oregon news and routinely touch base, and right, you need to do these things because these are the headlines impacting your people. So if we don't do these things, how do we know that wildfires are going on in Oregon? How do we know that BiMart closed? And otherwise
Yeah.
we're just twiddling our thumbs trying to figure out why the heck do we do so bad in getting needed drugs and rating of the drug plan. Well, no one can get drugs because
Mm.
they're right. So knowing that
Right.
allows you to try to strategize and work around that. I think at that point we had partnered, leaned heavily into a mail order courier service to fill the gap and
Mm.
sent letters out to members, saying, hey, we know what's going on, we see what you're going through, and touchy feely warm hug, here's an alternative for you, right? If nothing else, an interim solution. And I think it went a long way in improving adherence scores for those folks and caps.
No, I love that you, like, can kinda tie, like, something that is so speculative, like
Mhm.
caps, to a measure that we definitely again, that you can touch, that you can feel, like, around, like, medication adherence. So I think, like,
Yeah.
really looking at them, like, where are they connected? What's our leading indicators? What are our lagging indicators? And also, like, really committing as leaders to, reading the Oregonian and knowing what's going on. Or feel free if you're in Oregon to call my parents. I'm sure they'll tell you everything
Right.
that you wanna hear about that. Feel free, they would love to talk to you about Oregon.
And then, like,
That
in
is
that equity space, I mean, when you talk about, is it
Yeah.
equitable and is it a reasonable uh, tool to accurately capture the experiences of several different cultures of people that probably weren't so
Mm.
present in this country when those questions were formulated, right? I also had
Une
experience working with a health plan here in Minnesota where to improve caps, like we did off cycle and found our lowest, that lowest group of folks that were dragging rates down, and they were largely the Hmong and Somali members. And to improve caps, we had to start at this. What do you mean number one means I'm not happy? What does number five have to do with I'm kind of happy? Like, just tying numbers to feelings to a
Oh.
survey was a completely foreign concept for these folks. So we were
'Cause number 1 is number 1.
we had a
I
couple
feel
members
great.
proudly tell us they gave us number one. Yeah,
Oh, no.
yeah. So everyone, it isn't. I mean, we could go on. I'm sure everyone has cap stories.
Well, listen, I'm like
He's about to get on a
smelling.
soapbox. I
I'm
feel
not.
it.
No, I'm not going to do it.
No, 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 Nate,
But
don't do that to me. I
no,
feel it. I feel it.
all I was going to do was say I smell a really good conference session here because, I mean, testing bias
Mm.
just in general, I don't know why we would ever expect that we are immune to it in healthcare. And
Mm.
case mix adjustment does not fix it. So
No, there was
that's,
no adjustment.
Ooh.
yeah.
You're just gonna pull that pen, Nate, and just, like, set it there and be like, "Imma set this here."
Yeah, just
Just
think
leave it
about it over
there.
the weekend.